We need to emerge as our other selves in times of chaos and times of struggle, destruction. And this is our opportunity.
This is the Deep Dive with Adam Roa.
I think that struggle, this is a semantics thing, but I do agree. I think that resistance is necessary, right? It's in literally without the resistance of gravity, we don't even develop the muscles that allow us to move, right? Like it's the gravity and the force pulling on us that allows us to walk on the planet. It's what develops our muscles as we lift things and lift ourselves up out of a chair. And so resistance seems to be so necessary. And, but I also feel like there's this fine line where it slips into people getting so attached to it being hard, right? Like the underdog story. And it gets into that space where we have these sayings like no pain, no gain. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. All of these things that I feel like instill this collective mindset that if it's not hard, you didn't earn it. Or if it's not hard, you won't appreciate it. And I want to let go of that while still staying truthful, which is you're going to have resistance. The resistance is where we build our strength and our character, because it pushes back and actually asks us, what do we really want? Where are we willing to push in the direction that we desire to go? I'm curious what that brings up for you in terms of that fine line between the two.
Oh, I loved how juicy you get, because you love to dance in these polarities. And I love that about you. So yeah, you need resistance to rise. You need resistance to rise in a lot of ways. But yes, where can we as humans keep looking for that resistance? And it's almost like this upper limiting thought process, right? Because exactly. You're going to the glass ceiling and you have this idea of how much money you should make. And so if you make a little bit more of that, then you just kind of self-sabotage it, because it should be hard. And then you're at that next level. And so there is a fine line, and I'm glad you're bringing that up. And I think for me, and it's something I just spoke on the last conference, because, I run a business, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, and I feel like I operate in this energy of like feminine, which I call feminine. It doesn't necessarily have to be called that. It's just lack of a better word, where I'm writing another book with Hay House, and it's not hard. And every other author I've ever talked to tells me how hard writing a book with a publishing house is. And I'm like, I'm not even sitting down like going, I have to write. I'm actually going out in nature, feeling inspired, and talking an audio memo, voice memo, turning it over to the editor to transcribe, and we'll clean it up for beautiful reading based off my audio. That's an example to me of like deciding that it can be easy, or it can be coming from a place of inspiration, but also recognizing there are going to be moments when you're hit up against resistance, and and you'll be able to decide, is this external resistance, or am I creating this resistance? Am I creating it? But either way, you get to rise from that resistance. But and a lot of us do this. We do this in our relationships all the time. I have a question for people who have been in relationship, because this is upper limiting is so easy to tell in relationships, because where it happens is when you're on the perfect date. You're like out on a date, everything's going well, and you're like, you know what? Like you just try to find something to fight about, or something that bothered you to bring up just to dismantle the amazingness that you're feeling in the moment. And that's upper limiting. That's where you're trying to create resistance where it doesn't need to be had.
And that goes back to the subject we were talking about at the beginning of the trauma that I experienced at a young age, the sexual abuse, and the amount of people who've experienced some form of violent trauma, sexual trauma, whatever it is, it stores in the system. And so the nervous system actually gets used to being in a kind of just agitated state all the time. So that when you're on that date and everything's going amazing, or when life is just so easy, the nervous system starts to settle. And believe it or not, that is unsettling for the mind. That's been like, wait a second, what's going on? Something's off. Mm-hmm. Even though it's in a more settled state, it's off from what has been the norm. And the ego, it's not so much about making it more pleasant for you. It's about keeping it the same.